decision made, we have decided to appeal that decision and continue to pursue our ability to audit the commission on behalf of the members who requested the audit, and certainly the committee's decision to direct us to conduct that work. Other work in progress, we have an annual report that we put out that we hope is beneficial to the legislature and as particularly legislative staff. It's our annual subcommittee report, so it is a compilation of audits that we've conducted in the last couple of years and really the status of implementation of those recommendations. Also in that report, we put out an analysis of the monetary benefits that we've identified based on the audit work that we've done, and we value the return on investment in the state auditor's office and certainly the work that the legislature asks us to do. Before you today, there are 6 audit requests that we will be discussing. As far as resources from my office, we have staff who are ready to hit the ground running. I have 10 teams available between now and April. 4 of those teams can start in February, so we can immediately start 4 audits, and then we could pick up another. There's only 6 on the agenda, another 2, but we have staff to start 3 more audits in March, 3 more audits in April, so we have plenty of resources available. Last comment is there have been questions from some members in the past, what's your capacity over the course of the year? So even if you approve all 6 audits today, we typically have resources. This committee typically approves between 20 and 25 audits a year, so we certainly have capacity for future hearings to take on additional work, and we look forward to doing that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Howell, and thank you very much to your staff for all of their hard work. Does anyone have any questions at this time? Ms. Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Madam Auditor, on the judicial performance audit, can you just give a summary of what the anticipated timelines are in terms of when an appeal would be due and maybe even what the constraints would be? I'm one of the requesters of that audit and am eager to find out what time frame we're looking at.
Thank you. I'm going to ask my Chief Counsel, Stephanie Ramirez-Ridgway, to come up, and she's been working with our outside counsel with respect to this. So.
Good morning. We are seeking an appeal. We have filed our notice of appeal. We're waiting for the Superior Court to actually certify its decision. Apparently they are 2 months behind in that regard. And we are also contemplating requesting an expedited appeal. I don't know whether the Court of Appeal will accept that request for expedition, but that is something that we have discussed with our counsel, and if the members are eager for us to pursue that, that is information that we'll take under advisement as we make that decision.
Is there a deadline by which the Superior Court has to certify its opinion?
Not that I am aware of. And again, I believe there's a backlog within their system. The last that I heard, they were caught up through the end of November. Our decision came out about 12/22, 12/23. So in a couple of weeks, I hope.
Okay, good. Thank you very much.
All right. Any other questions from the committee? Seeing none. Thank you very much for your presentation. We will now move into the second portion of the agenda to consider the audit requests for approval. Before I go any further, I would like to point out some changes to the agenda. As I believe the public copy shows, there have been several audit requests that have been pulled. Assemblymember Patterson's audit 2018-101 has been pulled from today's agenda. Assemblymember Chen's audit request, audit 2018-103, has been pulled from today's agenda. And additionally, I wanted to make sure that there was no one in the audience related to the state auditor's high-risk local government audit requests. I wanted to note that the committee received a letter from the state auditor providing her proposal to audit 3 cities. As this is a relatively new program, we are in consultation with the legislative council on some legal and procedural issues related to the local high-risk program. Once we address these questions with legislative council, we will proceed at a later hearing on the local high-risk audit requests. I think that is it as to the agenda. We have 6 requests here today, 2 on the proposed consent calendar, and that leaves 4 audits for presentation today. We'll take up the consent calendar. I do not see a quorum yet. Senator Roth, if you can get your senators here, that would be. I understand, Senator. Yes, and one other item that was pulled, Assemblymember Gibson has pulled his audit request, audit 2018-109. So with that, I believe the first in line is Ms. Garcia. Would you like to come forward?
Good morning.
All right, so this is item number 4 on the regular calendar, audit request 2018-107, Department of Resources, Recycling and Recovery, requested oversight of the Mattress Recycling Council from Assemblymember Christina Garcia. Let's see, before we... Yes, Ms. Garcia, welcome.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. For your consideration is a request for the audit of the California Mattress Recycling Program. This program was established by Senator Hancock in 2013 to deal with the huge numbers of illegally dumped mattresses in her district. 5 years later, mattresses still contribute to blight in our communities. Last month, I learned that a minority-owned business in my district had its contract canceled and would be closing within the next couple of months, putting 150 people in my community out of work. I reached out to MRC to ask them to continue negotiations to see if a compromise could be reached on their contract. I continue to be hopeful that an agreement can be reached. As the chair of Natural Resources Committee, my staff and I began looking into how the state's mattress recycling program was going. It is among the first of the state's product stewardship programs, and it's important to ensure the program is accomplishing its goal. I was disappointed to find that while MRC seems to be meeting its collection goal of around 25%, it does not seem to be meeting the other requirements of the program. Specifically, it does not seem to be addressing the original intent of SB 254 to reduce illegal dumping and clean up mattresses that are dumped. The program is required to provide a financial incentive to fund the collection of illegally disposed mattresses, provide a mechanism for the recovery of dumped mattresses at no additional cost to local governments, and provide collection services for low-income communities. I have not seen any evidence that MRC is fulfilling these requirements. In spite of these concerns, MRC was able to reduce the fee on mattress sales from $11 to $10.50 on the first of the year. I respectfully request that you approve this audit today so that we can ensure that our communities are getting the full benefit of the program they are paying for. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Howell?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Assemblymember Garcia indicated, this would be an audit of the mattress recycling program in California. We would start with the Department of Resources, Recycling and Recovery, CalRecycle, commonly referred to. So we would look at CalRecycle's oversight of this particular program and whether or not they are ensuring that the council is following laws, rules, regulations. There were regulations that were promulgated related to this particular program. So starting at CalRecycle and looking at what type of oversight they're providing. They're required to approve an annual plan. They're required to look at the budget for the council, et cetera. So looking at their oversight. Then focusing on the financial information related to the program, the revenue, the amount of money in the fund balance. It appears fund balance is relatively high, but also she's asking us to look at expenditure reports, identifying major categories of expenditures, and determining whether or not the program has resources sufficient to ensure that this program meets its goals for California. As I indicated, she specifically asked us to look at the fund balance, determine whether it's reasonable. And then the last couple of objectives really about, are we achieving, or as a state, through CalRecycle, is this program achieving the expected intent? Are they investing enough money in public outreach and education, new types of technology, contracting with particular vendors in California to process mattresses, to refurbish, reuse, et cetera. So the last couple of objectives are related to that as far as how well this program is functioning in California. The budget for this audit is a little less than 2,200 hours. It's about a 5 months amount of time, of staff time to conduct the work.
All right, thank you. Ms. Garcia, do you have witnesses in support of your request?
I do. I'll let them introduce themselves.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members. My name is Melissa Immel, and I'm with Shaw, Yoder, and Twee here on behalf of the California Product Stewardship Council, or CPSC, as well as the National Stewardship Action Council. I've also been asked to convey support on behalf of Stop Waste, as they were unable to make it today. CPSC advocates for extended producer responsibility, which is a policy that requires producers to share in the end-of-life management of the products that they sell, which ultimately end up in California's waste stream. This policy approach is particularly important and effective for products that have significant end-of-life impacts, such as mattresses. CPSC supports the audit request to ensure that the Mattress Recycling Council is fulfilling the goals of California's mattress recycling law. This is a targeted audit that addresses some key issues to assess the successes and failures of the MRC's experiences thus far. We're also working with the MRC and CalRecycle to address issues that don't fall within the scope of this audit request. While the program is off to a fairly good start and we have seen some positive developments, we've also seen indications of a need to assess the MRC's progress. A key reason that this program was established was to reduce illegal dumping of mattresses. And although some progress has been made, illegal dumping is still a significant problem in California, and local governments are burdened with related costs. It seems that the MRC could be doing more to fully realize the goals of this program. Because stewardship programs are neither a pure EPR producer pay model nor a government command and control approach, we've seen some of the state's programs face challenges. This audit will help us get ahead of potential problems in the mattress program to address them early on with effective oversight and not wait as we did on carpet, for example. We know that increasing transparency and accountability in the operations of the mattress recycling program will help us collectively make improvements along the way to avoid failure down the line. As California is going backwards on our recycling rate while trying to reach the state's 75% waste recycling goal, we encourage a review of this program so we can ensure that the MRC is doing what it can to provide maximum benefit for all fee-paying Californians. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members, Mark Murray with the environmental group Californians Against Waste. Now, if this was one of the traditional waste reduction and recycling programs that we've implemented in this state over the last 30 years, the way that the legislature would provide oversight in terms of whether or not the objectives of the program are being met would be through the budget process, and you would basically leverage the department that's in charge of implementing the program. This policy uses a different model where the industry is actually running the program and the industry is collecting the funds from consumers. So if you go out and buy a mattress, they'll tell you that the state makes us charge this $10.50 or this on the mattress. But in fact, that's going to the mattress industry. We thought, in this legislation, we had built oversight into this program, with oversight by CalRecycle and oversight by an appointed mattress advisory council. But the evidence over the last 6 months is that those oversight functions aren't working. The mattress industry, we're not satisfied with the 25% recovery rate. When you're talking about 3.5 million mattresses being generated and potentially discarded, we know that private sector and public sector operators like the city of Los Angeles are collecting used mattresses, and they can't get those mattresses into the recycling stream because they're saying they're not being paid enough. At the same time, we have a surplus that is going to approach $30 million for a program that has a $40 million annual income revenue stream. That seems like an awfully large budget surplus to have when you're not coming anywhere close to meeting your program objectives. So we think that this oversight by the JLAC may be the only game in town in terms of providing oversight. Now, the legislature may have to re-examine whether or not this kind of policy even makes sense, to have this kind of, once removed, have the industry operating a program, taking consumer funds. But at this point in time, the only mechanism we have to kind of take a look at what's going on is this kind of audit. We urge you to support the request.
All right. Thank you very much. The responding agency, is there a representative from CalRecycle here? And I think this goes as to all of our witnesses, but we'd like to ask witnesses to try to keep your comments limited to 2 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Dunn. I'm a supervising senior environmental scientist with CalRecycle, and I oversee the EPR unit, which houses the mattress program. With regard to the department's oversight, the department is responsible for ensuring that the mattress recycling organization, in this case MRC, executes its responsibilities under the law. And we do this through, as was mentioned, the review and approval of used mattress recycling and recovery plans, the review and approval of annual budgets, which includes the charge, and through the review and compliance review of the annual reports. The annual reports in particular are submitted each year, July 1st, and the department evaluates these per compliance with statute and regs. The department approved MRC's 2016, which is their first program year annual report, and requested that the MRC consider specific issues raised by staff and stakeholders, in particular with regard to research, the consumer incentive, program convenience, illegal dumping, and market development, and then to report back in its 2017 annual report. I think it's important to mention that a lot of the concerns that are discussed in the letter and that we've heard from stakeholders, the department shares some of those concerns, and we've conveyed that through to the MRC through our regular meetings and also through our approval of the annual report. With regard to the approval of the fee reduction, I think it's important to understand that the department reviewed that request with its annual budget and determined that it met its all the statutory and regulatory requirements necessary for approval. The department's required to approve a mattress recycling charge that is enough to cover the program costs, which the 1050 mattress recycling charge demonstrated that it would per the budget categories. I'd also just like to point out that the reduction between the $11 charge and $10.50 is a difference of less than $2 million in about a $40 million program budget. So it was not only enough to cover the program activities, but also more than cover and allow for the continuation of a reserve.
Ms. Dunn, I'm going to ask you to wrap up.
Sure. I was actually going to pause there.
Okay, thank you very much. We also have a representative from the Mattress Recycling Council, I believe. No? Okay. All right, questions from the... Oh, yes. Oh,
testimony
all right.
from MRC.
All right.
Thank you, Chairman Marisucci and members of JLAC. Tom Sheehy here on behalf of the Mattress Recycling Council, and we're really pleased to have an opportunity just to make a few brief comments about the program. And we certainly appreciate Assemblymember Garcia's interest. I am having a few documents handed out to you which address some of the informational concerns that have been expressed. And I will just tell you at the outset, the 25% rate that's been quoted here today, we don't believe is accurate. And the reason why there's a large reserve in the fund is because this is a brand new program and it's just ramping up. But that said, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mike O'Donnell, who's the managing director of MRC, had a family emergency which prevented him from being here this morning, so I am here in his stead. Thanks for the opportunity to speak so that we can talk a little bit what we have accomplished in the last 2 years. Following its first year of operations, you guys know the background, so I won't go through that for the sake of time. Following its first year of operations, MRC submitted its 2016 annual report and its 2018 proposed budget. This was in July of 2017, so just 6 or 7 months ago. CalRecycle did in fact approve that annual report, and it established performance goals, specific performance goals for the MRC in December 2017 for the years 2017 through 2020. So we have specific goals that the regulator is asking for. This requires a 75% recycling rate on a weight basis. During its initial 2 years in operation, we've accomplished the following things as the Mattress Recycling Council. We've contracted with a number of mattress recycling facilities throughout California. We've established a broad collection network of over 160 drop-off points throughout the state, and we continue to add those on a monthly basis. We've also held 125 public collection events to bring mattress recycling directly into the communities and make people aware of what's going on. our public relations and ad campaign to let people understand how they can deal with their used mattresses. MRC's first-year efforts focus on creating mattress collection and recycling network, and we collected over 1 million mattresses. Those are 1 million mattresses and box springs that would have gone into landfills. This translates into 29 million tons of products that occupy 11 million cubic feet of space, which is equivalent to 19 Olympic-sized swimming pools. MRC is expanded its collections in 2017 to 1.3 million units. This exceeded Cal Recycle's goals that they set for us in the 2017 fiscal year. So we believe that we're not only hitting the state's requirements, but we're exceeding them. MRC also raised consumer awareness of recycling through their education program, and as a result of the 1 million mattresses that were collected in the first year, over 370,000 of them came through consumer drop-offs at our different points. MRC has funded the collection of over 63,000 illegally dumped mattresses around the state. There's no question but that there's more work to do in that area, but we've made a significant bite into it, and we have a strategy in place to continue increasing that number. Remember, this is a brand new program. We're just ramping up. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got my final paragraph, and I apologize. I'm wrapping up right now. We are required to recycle 75% by weight of the mattresses we receive. In 2016, our recyclers hit a 64% rate, and unfortunately, in 2017, that rate dipped slightly. We are working on a strategy and working with our contractors to raise that rate so we can hit the required goal by the state. Finally, Mr. Chairman, I want you to know that we greatly appreciate this opportunity to discuss MRC's initial success in implementing the requirements of SB 254 and highlighting the areas where we do need to improve. We appreciate the support of Cal Recycle, we appreciate the support of the legislature, and we look forward to working with you to expanding this program and make it even better than it is now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Questions from the committee? We need one more senator. Oh, okay. Mr. Wood.
Yeah, just a couple of questions.
Actually, Mr. Wood, I'm sorry. Before we go forward, seeing that we have been joined by our esteemed colleagues from the Senate, I would like to call roll to establish quorum.
Assemblymember Marisucci,
Here.
Acosta,
Here.
Baker,
Here.
Santiago,
Here.
Rubio, Wood,
Here.
Senator Roth,
Here.
Allen, Bell, Cannella, Fuller, Laura, Mendoza.
All right. Did we get Mr. Obernolte?
Sorry, Assemblymember Obernolte.
All right. Do we have quorum, Madam Secretary? Quorum.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Garcia, if I may, given that the Senate is going to be going into floor session at 10 a.m., I would like to ask for your indulgence. We'd like to take care. So we have two items on the consent calendar. It's been moved and seconded. Seeing no further questions, we've procedurally, in order to vote on the consent calendar first, we must suspend JLAC Rules 13 and 15, which deal with the state auditor's analyses to be released publicly, and to allow the committee to waive discussion and take action. Is there first a motion and a second to suspend both rules? Motion's been made.
Second.
Seconded. Secretary, please call the roll as to the motion to suspend the rules.
Roll call to suspend committee rules 13 and 15. Assemblymember Marisucci.
Here. Aye.
Marisucci, aye. Acosta.
Aye.
Acosta, aye. Baker. Aye. Baker, aye. Santiago.
Aye.
Santiago, aye. Obernolte.
Aye.
Obernolte, aye. Rubio. Wood.
Oh, sorry. Aye. I moved it.
Senator Roth.
Aye.
Roth, aye. Allen. Allen, aye. Bell. Cannella. Fuller. Fuller, aye. Laura. Laura, aye. Mendoza. Motion pass.
Okay, and So that is for the consent calendar dealing with audit request 2018-102, the Tulare Local Health Care District, submitted by Senator Fuller, and audit request 2018-106, the Peace Officers Health and Safety audit request submitted by Assembly Member Freddie Rodriguez.